A childhood encounter with a mysterious whistler returns to haunt a man over a decade later, this time with chilling ties to an ancient Venezuelan legend. What he captured on video still can't be explained. I've been waiting a long time to share the full story of the Whistler. This one's loaded with details, and I'll say it right away. It's creepy, unexplainable, and 100% true. I even have video proof. I was about 8 years old when it started. My mom and I were walking our dog late at night, probably around 11 p.m. We lived on the edge of town in Lansing, Michigan, right by the woods and a swamp. I remember how eerily quiet it was that night, with just a bit of wind rustling the leaves. Then, out of nowhere, a whistle echoed from the direction of the swamp. Someone was whistling at us. At first, it sounded a bit like birdsong, but it kept changing. There was no melody, no consistent pattern. It rose and fell, becoming unmistakably human. That's what made it so unsettling. I saw my mom's face go pale. Her expression tightened with anxiety and fear. She grabbed my hand and said we needed to go home right now. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but her reaction scared me more than the sound itself. Eventually, I moved on, kind of. A couple years passed. I was about 10 when it happened again. I was walking the dog alone this time, late at night. Near our porch, there was a huge bush, big enough for someone to hide behind. We were almost done with the walk when I heard it again. That same whistle. The same strange tone, that same broken rhythm, human but not quite right. The moment I heard it, I froze. A chill shot through my body. I remembered my mom's horrified face, staring down toward the swamp, toward something I couldn't see. Or maybe she couldn't either. I bolted inside. Years passed. I barely spoke about it to anyone. Eventually, I stopped thinking about it altogether. Then last summer, I was 24. I just started dating a girl named Sarah, and we moved to South Dakota for work. On the 4th of July, we decided to head to the city of Pierre to watch the fireworks by the Missouri River. Behind the hospital there's a free camping zone where people pitch tents and sit by the water to watch the show. We picked a quiet spot near the edge, away from most of the crowd. As it got dark, the fireworks began. They were far upriver, so it was pretty dim where we were. We sat right by the shoreline just to get a decent view. A storm was brewing. You could feel the electricity in the air, and the wind was picking up. The whole scene had this heavy, uneasy vibe. Police boats cleared the river and moved on to patrol farther upstream. Most people followed the fireworks and left the area. Sarah and I stayed, sipping beer and chatting by the water. Then we heard it, the sound of an oar slicing through water, steady and rhythmic. About 20 meters out, we saw a silhouette in a canoe. Sarah headed back to the car to grab more beer, and I stayed to keep an eye on the canoe. That's when it happened. The whistling. Every hair on my body stood up. That same whistle from my childhood, unchanged. It hit me like ice through my spine. I couldn't believe it. I stared at the canoe. It was too dark to see details, but I could make out a figure, wearing a hat. As he lined up with our spot on the shore, he stopped paddling, turned the canoe slowly until it was facing directly at me. And then he whistled again, this time right at me. I jumped up, terrified. "Who are you?" I shouted. No answer. Just more whistling. Then he turned the canoe around and disappeared into the darkness. I'm a videographer, so I had my camera on me. I'd been filming the fireworks. When the canoe started drifting away, I grabbed the camera and managed to record him whistling as he left. When Sarah came back, she was shocked at how shaken I looked. I told her everything. She got really quiet. I was convinced we weren't going to make it through the night. How could someone, the same someone who whistled at me 14 years ago in Michigan, be here now in South Dakota? Coincidence? But the whistle was exactly the same. Who was he? Where did he go? I've got 100 questions and 0 answers. Since that night, I've been afraid to go out after dark. I'm terrified I'll hear that whistle again. Got any ideas what the hell happened? Edit. Hey, raise the video I managed to get. I was filming the fireworks when I heard the whistling start again. I was too scared to aim the camera directly at the canoe, so I just turned the mic in that direction and kept the lens on the sky. Wear headphones. The sound is clearer that way. It's that same two-note whistle. First high, then low. You can hear me on the footage asking Sarah, "Was that you? Are you whistling?" She says no. I wasn't convinced, so I told her to stop, just in case. But I was already panicking inside. The last clip is brightened as much as I could manage, just to make the canoe figure slightly more visible. Looks like he's wearing a red hoodie or something. Edit 2. Time has passed. I'm back in the US now, and I talked to my mom about it. We sat down, and I showed her the footage. Strangely, she doesn't remember any of it happening. I wish I could give you all some thrilling twist ending, but I can't. The mystery remains unsolved. Dude, you have to read this. I'm from Venezuela, and your story instantly reminded me of something from our folklore. We have a legend here about a spirit known as El Silban, the Whistler. He's not just a ghost or some campfire tale. He's a cursed soul. And his whistle? It's a harbinger of death. I'm not making this up. I'll try to translate the key parts from a Spanish article I found, just so you understand how eerily similar this is to what you described. The legend tells of a young man who murdered his own father. The story goes that his father killed the young man's wife. Apparently, the father disapproved of her and called her a whore. In a rage, the son took revenge and killed him. But the real horror started after that. His grandfather tied him to a post in the middle of a field, whipped him mercilessly, poured alcohol on his wounds, and before setting him free, cursed him. The curse bound him to wander the earth forever, carrying the bones of his father in a dusty sack slung over his back. El Silban is known for a very particular whistle, one that mimics musical notes. It rises and falls through the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. It climbs to F, then descends slowly to B. Here's the terrifying part. They say if you hear the whistle up close, it means he's far away, and you're safe. But if it sounds distant, he's right behind you. And if you do hear it, it means someone, maybe even someone close to you, is going to die. He can appear anywhere, at any time. The only known protections are the bark of a dog, which he fears, and hot chili peppers or a whip. Apparently, the pain of his punishment still haunts him. People say El Silban hunts down cheaters, womanizers. But others claim he punishes drunkards. The stories vary, but they all agree he is vengeance. In the Venezuelan plains, the Llanos, many people claim to have seen him, especially during the dry season, when the savanna turns to scorched dust. They say he sits on old stumps, sifting powdery dirt between his hands as he waits. But his most feared visits happen during the rainy season. When the air is thick and the skies darken, that's when the ghost is truly restless. Searching, punishing, sometimes even taking the innocent. Some say he sucks the alcohol from the navels of drunk men, leaving their bodies cold and empty. Others say he tears womanizers limb from limb, pulls out their bones, and adds them to the sack where he carries his father's remains. In one version, he's described as a giant, nearly 20 feet tall, who walks along the tops of trees, whistling his eerie tune while the bones in his sack clatter like dry thunder. In another version, he's a shadow, tall, gaunt, always wearing a wide-brimmed hat. He appears mostly to men drinking alone at night, silently watching them until they pass out or never wake up. There's even a tale that if he visits a home, he'll lay his bone-filled sack down near the door and begin counting the bones, one by one. If someone hears him counting, they'll be fine. But if no one hears a thing, someone in the house will die in their sleep by morning. Over in Colombia, they have a version of the tale too. There he's called El Silbador, the Whistler. Some say he's the spirit of a lonely, lustful soul who died without love and now seeks companions to ride with him through the night. That's one of the kindred interpretations, anyway. But others in Colombia say something darker, that he hunts pregnant women. That his whistle seeps into your ears and makes your bones vibrate. Here's the rule. If the whistle is high-pitched, a woman will die. If it's low, a man will. Either way, it'll be someone you know. Someone you care about. Edit. Dude, I've got goosebumps. I'm not even the superstitious type, but your stories sound way too similar to just brush off. Especially since there's no way you could have known about this legend unless you'd lived in Venezuela or studied obscure South American folklore. And I just watched your video. Bro. In Venezuela, we'd say, "SOS la vida más escalofriante que he visto en mi vida." That's the creepiest shit I've ever seen. I still can't believe you caught it on video. That whistle? It's different from what El Silban is said to sound like, but just as terrifying. Cold, sharp, human. And that chill you felt? That's exactly what people here say happens before he strikes. What's even scarier is, every time I've ever personally heard strange whistling, a dog was nearby. The first 2 times it happened, it was my own dog. The third time, last summer, I was walking past a family playing frisbee with their golden retriever in the street. That's why from now on, I'm never going anywhere at night without something to protect me. Either a dog, or at the very least, hot peppers. Just in case. Because if it really was El Silban, or something like him, then he's not just a Venezuelan legend anymore. It's been months since that night by the Missouri River. Sarah and I have moved again. Life has gone on. Work, bills, daylight routines, everything appears normal on the surface. But I don't sleep well anymore. Every night, when things get quiet, when the house settles and the wind brushes past the windows, I lie awake, waiting, listening. And sometimes, I think I hear it. A whistle. 2 notes, high, then low. Other times it's reversed. Or warped. Like something trying to mimic a sound it doesn't fully understand. I try to tell myself it's nothing. That it's wind. An owl. Maybe even just my imagination, shaped by old trauma and stories I let get too far under my skin. But I keep remembering what that Venezuelan guy wrote, about how the distant whistle means he's close. And the thing is, I haven't heard it nearby since that night. It's always distant now. Always barely there. Sometimes I wonder, was El Silban ever real? Or did I create my own version of him, stitched from childhood fear, passed down legends, and the uncanny timing of a ghost in a canoe? But then I think about the dog. Every time, every single time, there was a dog nearby. Mine. A stranger's. Always barking, growling, or alert. And that detail stuck with me. Because if even a folktale warned about dogs being the only thing that can keep him away, what happens the next time there isn't one? I keep a bottle of ghost pepper spray in my backpack now. A ridiculous, desperate attempt to feel safe. And every time I step outside after dark, I find myself scanning the shadows, watching tree lines, and most of all, listening. Not for footsteps, not for rustling, for a whistle. Because if I ever hear it again, I don't know if I'll run this time, or if I'll finally ask him what he wants.